Yo, what's up, everybody? So this is my first video on my podcast channel. I'm going to drink some water. You guys need to drink some water also, because water is going to help you stay fresh and healthy. Amazing. Drinking some electrolyte water. Love it. This is my first podcast. Today's is going to be on easy runs and long run, but mainly easy run, and going over why long run is considered an easy run. But first off, I want to go over just a little bit of what I'm doing. So if you want to skip ahead a little bit of this, you can. So I'm doing 4 different YouTube channels now, and I'm grinding really hard on YouTube. I post on Instagram every day and on Facebook. So my Instagram is Carnivore_Jesus. You can check that out. My Facebook is just Ben Chapman. You can find my Facebook. But my YouTube channels are RunnersMotivation, which is my main channel, where I post videos once or twice a week, where I'm posting stuff on like how to boost your immune system, full days of eating, or like how to run like Elliot Kipchoge, or it's videos about how to run faster and how to have a healthier body, right? Then we have my Carnivore Climber, which I'm going to start uploading on. I haven't uploaded a video yet, and that will be coming soon, which is going to be videos once a week to once every other week, and that's going to be videos on climbing, just a video about climbing, how to climb, me climbing V4s or whatever I'm doing, just me climbing and stuff. It's going to be me climbing, okay? Then I have my other channel, which I'm posting almost every day on, which is called RunnersMotivation Reacts, where I'm doing reaction videos where I literally, like I said, I post probably almost every day on that channel. I posted once, but I'm starting to post every day because those videos are very easy to edit and very easy to post, and I'm not sitting there taking 3 or 4 hours to make a video, right? I'm not sitting there taking 3 or 4 hours of my time to really make a video and sitting there for 10, 20, 30 minutes, watching a video, reacting to it, editing it for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and that's about it, right? So I'm not taking my 100 hours of that with that. Now with these podcasts, I'm going to be editing these off my phone, not off my computer, because I have Adobe, but the Adobe Premiere After Effects on my computer, or the Premiere Pro CC, I can only obviously render one video at a time. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do these, but render these off my phone. And so I'm just going to do the audio on here, take the audio, put it onto my phone, just have my normal picture I use, my normal background picture that I use for all of my podcasts, and I'll just put it on there like that, very simple. I'll make a thumbnail really quickly on my computer, just have a thumbnail for my podcast, and I'll set up a new picture or something like that of me. I don't know. We'll find something I'll use. I'm gonna make some channel art and different things today. So I haven't even made the channel yet, but I'm gonna make the channel today, and I'll start uploading stuff on there every single. I want to upload every day. Don't know if that's gonna happen, just because I'll have a lot of different stuff to do. But I would love to upload my podcast every day, and these are mainly just gonna be audios. I will have some video stuff in the future maybe, but mainly these are going to be audios because I want to be able to just give you guys some stuff. You guys can go in your car and you can play it. You can download it to your phone as an MP3 file and you can play it. And I'll probably make a video on that channel how to download stuff, how to download to MP3, MP3s to your phone. So you can just listen to it in the car and you can be like, oh, this is awesome. I want to listen. What about easy runs? Boom, you can play it. Just like a Joe Rogan podcast, And later on, I will actually make an iTunes podcast where you can download all my stuff off iTunes. That will be coming soon. I'm going to be working on that also. But for now, I'm going to be posting these on YouTube. And then, later on, I will be making an iTunes podcast. I just have to come up with a ton of different stuff and come up and get the right channel, the right arts done with it. I need to have like a really good logo type art that I'm going to use for that. So I really have to come up with something that I want to use that's going to be, something really cool, something really cool that I want to use. So let's get into this podcast. These podcasts can range anywhere from like 15 minutes to probably an hour and 30 minutes, 2 hours, I don't know. It depends if I have someone on the podcast or not. Sometimes I will have people on here. Once I get bigger, I may actually add people onto my podcast. But for now, I'm not going to, because obviously no one wants to be on a podcast that hasn't even really been created, or doesn't want to be on a podcast that has 0 subscribers, 0 views, this and that, right? They want people to go on there who have a lot more a lot more followers and bigger. Like once I hit like 50K subs, people are like, all right, this guy's like 50K followers, gets, you know, a good amount of views. Maybe now I'll be on his podcast because I can actually get some traction, right? And obviously I need to make good podcasts. I need to have good thumbnails, make good podcasts and things. So it will be fun. So let's go over easy running, right? Easy running is the first thing we're going to go over. We're going to start with the 4 types of running. There are 5, but I'll throw 2 of them in this podcast. So we're going to start with the 4 types of running for my first 4 podcasts, and then we'll just go from there. We'll start with the 4 types, how I rank them from, you know, obviously most important, which is the easy running, from I wouldn't say least important, but least done, the most done, and the most, and the ones you do the most, the ones you do the least. I'll kind of go in that order, and we'll go from there. And then we'll go and start talking about nutrition. I might talk about whatever. Like this podcast could be, it's not just going to be about running and nutrition. I could talk about my climbing stuff. I could talk about like different goals I'm going for. I could talk about a lot of different things, but it's just going to be a podcast where I'm sharing things. But I mainly want to talk about running and nutrition. You know, I may share some stuff on my climbing and different things, but I don't want it to go too off topic. I want people to come on here and be able to do this. Because if you guys know, I used to make really old my old YouTube videos, my older ones, if you guys go back on my channel, used to be just me sitting in front of the camera and talking to people. And I had some vlogs back in the day where I would talk for like an hour. I mean, literally I had hour-long vlogs where I would just vlog for like an hour and just talk about stuff like this, right? And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a podcast channel now so you guys can get this content. So again, let's get into this. So easy running. So what is easy running? Well, easy running is obviously you're running. You're not walking, you're running. But if you look at the name of it, it's called easy running, meaning it should be easy, right? It should be very, very easy. So most people, at least when I started, and most people when they start running, is they think you need to run hard to get faster, right? You have to run faster. Like for example, I thought when I ran the mile, I thought, okay, when I'm running the mile is my race. If I'm not doing any runs that are faster than mile pace, how am I going to get faster for the mile? Right? If I don't go out and do 400 meter repeats or 800 meter repeats that are faster than mile pace, like 200s that are like at a sprint, at like, you know, at like a, you know, 400 to 800 meter pace, how am I not going to get faster for the mile, right? And what I've realized, one thing is I realized you have to have some natural speed in you. So you have to have someone who builds speed easily. But working at mile pace is, you know, is obviously one thing you do, which will be next video, which will be going over speed runs. But, you know, I thought you had to always run hard to get faster. I thought if you're not running hard, you're running easy, you're not actually getting faster. If you don't run faster than the pace you're trying to run, or at least run hard, you know, if you're not running like 3 miles all out, 5 miles all out, you're not getting faster. And I was totally wrong on this, but I thought that at the beginning. And so what I thought was, and this is kind of how I thought, I thought, okay, my heart rate's going up really high, I'm getting faster. And I didn't even think about heart rate and the actual heart rate itself, but I thought like, but it feels like, you know your heart rate's going up, so you're going up to 100% heart rate, you know, or getting close to that depending on what you're doing, and you're thinking you're getting faster. Well, there's a lot of different things that happen in the body. So you have your heart rate, right? Your heart rate goes up and up and up and up. If you do a mile, for example, all out, your heart rate is going to go up very, very quickly. Your heart rate will hit 100% of its max heart rate at about a pace you can keep all out for 10 to 12 minutes. So yes, if you do a mile, you will hit your max heart rate, but you're going to hit it, and you're going to hit it, and you're going to be tired. You're going to be tired. You know, you're going to die out quick. But if you do a pace you keep all out for 10 to 12 minutes, which is usually around someone's 2 mile pace, right? 3,200 meters or whatever. Usually it's around someone's 2 mile pace. That is 97 to 100% of your max heart rate. That is where you're going at max heart rate, right? And that's good. There's some benefits to doing that, and I'll go over that in the series 4 of these. That goes over interval VO2 max training. We'll talk about that later on, max heart rate training. But for this one, we need to go over we're going over easy running in the heart. And so, yeah, your heart rate goes up, but you also have a thing called stroke volume. So this is how much your body can pump blood into your body, into the muscles, through the veins, into the muscles, right, into the body. Well, why would we want to pump, why would you want to pump a lot of blood into the body? Well, if you can pump blood into the body more efficiently, basically you're getting more nutrients to the body, like your nutrients that you need for your body, like your electrolytes, right? Your body needs those things when it's running. Also, you're giving your body more oxygen. You're giving your body more red blood cells and more oxygen. And so we need that more oxygen to be able to not fatigue as fast when we're doing like a longer run. We need to not fatigue, or when we're just running in general, we need oxygen for our body to not tire out, right? To not get tired. And so if you can do this more efficiently, meaning you could produce it faster, it can go faster, and it can be less effortless, right? So it's like saying, okay, you can run an all-out mile in 5 minutes, but now you can run an all-out mile in 4 minutes, so a 5-minute mile it feels relaxed. It's like trying to get to that point, but with your heart. So what we're doing is we're building a heart muscle, a muscle around your heart. There's actually been real studies of people that have actually gotten heart attacks because they ate unhealthy and they ate all these bad foods, but they did so much running that they had so much heart muscle that their heart actually kept them alive, right? So doing these easy runs is super beneficial. So all these benefits now. We're getting more oxygen, more nutrients to the body, all this stuff. But why easy running? Why run easy? Why not run hard? So your stroke volume, the amount of blood that gets pushed into the body, basically the point where your heart's going to build the most muscle. The more your heart is trying to pump blood into the muscles to give your body oxygen, the stroke volume of your heart, right, is where you're building the most muscle. So to get to your max stroke volume would be the best. Well, your max stroke volume is at 60% of your max heart rate. So it stops at 60%. So if you hit 60% of your max heart rate and you're running at that pace, that's it. Your stroke volume is not going to go up anymore. Yeah, it goes up a tiny bit, but it's so minimal, it's not worth it, because when you're running easy, and I'll go over this a little more, is you add extra time to your runs. So 60% of your max heart rate in easy terms is a conversational pace, meaning that you should be able to have a conversation with someone, and you shouldn't have to breathe in every 2 or 3 words. You shouldn't be running and be like, okay guys, so today it's going to be an easy run. Like, you should be able to be like, hey guys, today it's going to be an easy run. So yeah, it's going to be really fun today. Like, you should be able to talk like this. Like I'm talking now. I can run. Like I'm going to grab my phone real fast in my pocket and I'm going to run a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't make too much noise with my mic, right? Let me hold my mic a little bit. But this is me running. If you guys can hear me running, this is me running, right? I'm not running as fast as I would want to. I'm running around in circles. I'm in my apartment right now. But you can tell, like, I am breathing, I'm running, but I'm also able to talk. And so that's the whole thing. You need to be able to talk in full sentences. Now, it's not just 60%. You're going to go from 60% upward to 75%. So the reason I go up to 75% is because it's still slower than your marathon pace, and we're going to go over that in this video too. It's still slower than your marathon pace, but it's also gives you a leeway of, like, let's say one day you go to Santa Cruz or you're going to some naturey place and you have someone who's like a little bit faster than you. Let's say you run a 6-minute mile pace for a 10K and he's running like 5:45 pace for a 10K. So he's a little bit faster than you and he has a little bit faster easy run pace than you, and you're going to this place and it's super nice outside and he's not feeling that great. He's feeling average that day, but you just feel amazing. And you want to go his speed, and you're not usually going his speed. Let's say normally you're going at 7:30. He's normally going at a 7-minute mile, and you guys want to hit 7:15 together and talk. Go for it. Like, that's cool, that leeway is there. So if you have a good day, you can go faster, and if you have a bad day, you can go very, very slow. And I'm talking, like, I've had 2 different paces. I've had days, I'm not kidding, I've had days where I felt so crappy that I was going 9:40 per mile on my easy runs, even though I could do, at the time, about 6:36 pace for like a half marathon, right? And on my good days, I was going like 7:45 pace for easy runs, which is like a pace I could keep for, I could keep that for a marathon, for sure. but like it was not as fast as my marathon pace, but it was like getting there. It was getting like my marathon pace at that time was probably like a 7-minute mile, right? So I was getting closer to my marathon pace at that point, right? And so on good days versus bad days, you just have differences. And then my average easy run pace was about 8:45, right? That was my average easy run pace. So it just depends on the day, how you feel. Sometimes you may go a little bit slower than 60%. You don't have to know exactly if it's 60% or not. I just say start running. If it's conversational, keep it. If you get to the point where it starts being a little bit harder to do conversational pace, then slow down to actual conversation pace, right? But don't go so slow where you're like barely walking and you're going like a 12-minute mile when you could be going way faster. Like, no, you don't want to go 40%. You want to hit that 60%, but just go to the point where go make it easy. Go out there and make it easy, but also make sure you're running. Make sure you're actually going at a pace. And if you know you can go faster, you'll know when it's too easy. When it's too easy, you're going to be like, this just feels like you're walking, you're not even trying. Right? Like, it just feels like you're not trying. It feels like it's a warm-up, like even slower than a warm-up. You're not even trying, right? You're just going out there and being lazy, basically. When you go easy run, you'll feel that you're running, but you're able to talk and do things and stuff. But you shouldn't be going too fast either. Don't go too fast. So with easy running, it should be 75% of your weekly mileage. So whatever your weekly mileage is, about 75% of that should be easy runs. Now, it would vary a little bit depending on, what season you're in and what you're training for and stuff. But if you're training for an ultra run, I'm probably going to do like 90% easy running. Or if you're training for like a marathon, it may be more like 90% easy running. And if you're training for like a mile, it may be like, 65% easy running, maybe a little bit less. But overall, you're going to be around 75% is what you want to aim for, right? So you want most of your runs to be easy. If you're running 6 days out of the week, 4 of those days should be easy running. Only 2 days should be workouts. And then you should be doing warm-ups and cool-downs also count as easy runs. Any recovery jogs you do, which I'll go over, which is like, a slow jog after you do a hard 400, that counts as easy. So anything that's slow will count towards your easy running for the week. Any mileage you do, that's just easy recoveries, warm-ups, cool-downs, or just easy runs in general. It's all going to go towards your easy running. And yeah, it depends. You could do one day easy, 1 day hard, 1 day easy, but it's going to catch up to you sooner or later. So I like having where it's like a workout, 2 days easy, a workout, 2 days easy. I like doing it like that because it gives your body rest for these hard workouts that you're going to do. And you may not think they're hard. You may not think doing interval runs are super hard on your body, but trust me, over time it will get hard on your body. And so doing the easy runs is going to help you recover. These are like recovery runs, so it's almost like you're deloading your body. You're letting your body relax and deload a little bit. And I know a lot of people talk about how I have a lot of athletes in high school that have talked about how easy runs are harder than just running. Normal running, it feels harder on their joints and their body. And the reason being is because when you run easy, you gain a lot of benefits of adding time. So if you were to run 5 miles at a 10-minute mile, that's 50 minutes of running compared to running 5 miles at a 6-minute mile, that's 30 minutes of running. And so and I know most people aren't going to be going from if you could do a 6-minute mile pace 5 miles, your easy run pace is not going to be a 10-minute mile. But my whole thing is that a lot of these high school athletes will be running, at most 5 miles, probably about 4. And if they do 5 miles, they're doing like a 7-minute mile or a 7:30 mile, and they're getting it done within 35 minutes. And so I've asked kids before, I said, hey, we're going to do a 60-minute easy run today. And most of them should be doing around a 9:30, 9-minute mile pace, maybe 8:30 at the fastest kids I've had. Because they just don't have any endurance because they haven't trained these longer runs. So shouldn't really have your easy run pace won't be super fast, right? Just because you run a 4:55 mile or a 5:10 mile or whatever, like a decently fast mile, your endurance could be very crappy, which just makes your easy run speed a lot slower. And so most of them were running around a 9:30 mile pace for easy running or 9-minute mile pace. And so for them, if I had them run 60 minutes easy, they're getting at most 7 miles. Which 7 miles is not super, super long. It's a long run for them, but it's not super long. But they just weren't used to running at a slower pace. The mileage too, they weren't used to running, 6-7 miles. But if you do 4 miles every day, 3 or 4 miles every day, like a 6-mile run shouldn't be too hard. But the problem it's the time they were running. It's, most of the time if they ever had to do 6 miles, they're getting it done in, 6 miles done in 45 minutes, 42 minutes. They're getting it done quickly. They're not taking their time on that 6-mile run to run it in 60 minutes or to run 7 miles in 70 minutes, whatever it is, right? So it's just the time they're not spent used to running. But when you build that up, it's easy and it's fun. You get to hang out with your friends. We've done things where we go places and we see how long these routes are. And we used to mess around and play tag sometimes and whatever. We just mess around and do little things on easy runs and have fun. Talk about things that went throughout the day. Talk about different runs that are going on or different things that were going on in the world or, what classes they had in high school. I talked to my kids about everything. They would ask me questions about life and stuff, how I could help them with this or that. What should they do about this or this? And I would answer questions for them. It's just a fun time, right? It's a fun time to get to know people, get to know your friends, get to know people and stuff like that. It's very fun. So I would do that. So that's mainly what you should be doing with the easy running. But then there's also a thing in there which most people are not going to be training for, especially high school athletes and stuff, which is marathon paced running. So I'm just going to go over this very quickly, but all the paces, basically marathon paced running, or I'd say ultra running is anything that's like an easy run. That's your pace for ultra running, right? Marathon paced running is going to be at 80% of your max heart rate. Half marathon paced running is about 82% of your max heart rate. All out for an hour pace, which we'll go over in the third series, is 85%. A 10K is about 88 to 92% of your max heart rate, more like 90%. A 5K is about 95% of your max heart rate. A 2 mile is about 100% of your max heart rate. And then a mile and everything and so on, right? So when you're doing marathon paced running, it still technically is easy because you're not hitting that lactate threshold, which I'll be going over in the third one, which is a different type of training, and that starts at 82%, which is about your half marathon pace. So when you're doing a marathon paced running, you do these during your long runs or during your easy runs. So you just add this in. So for example, let's say you're going and running 7 miles. I may say, okay, well, I want you to do 2-mile warm-up. I want you to do 3 miles at marathon pace and then 3-mile cool down. Or I want you to do, 1 mile marathon, 1 mile easy, 1 mile marathon, 1 mile easy. Or I do, 1 mile marathon, a minute easy, 1 mile marathon, a minute easy. It shouldn't be super hard. It's just a little bit faster than what you normally be going. If you, like for me, for example, if my easy run pace was normally about 8:45, my marathon pace is about a 7-minute mile. It seems like a big jump, but my marathon pace is around a 7-minute mile, maybe like 7:20, depending on the day. So maybe I'm going at like 7:10 pace, right? So I keep 7:10 pace, and maybe if I'm not on the track, I'm not, obviously if I'm not on the track or anything like that, I go a little faster on the track. So maybe if I'm on road, I go like 7:20. So I'll go 7:20 pace. So it's faster, but I definitely shouldn't be tired when doing that. I shouldn't be like out of breath when I'm doing these because it's just a marathon pace. It's the pace I can keep for 26 miles, and I'm going to do it for 3 or 4 miles, right? So that's something you do. And I like to add these during in my long runs if I'm going to do them, just because the long run has more mileage in it, and that will let you be able to add in more of this marathon paced running. Now, is there a specific number of how much marathon paced running you should be doing? I would say about 10% of your weekly mileage maybe, or 10% of your easy running weekly mileage, right? And this is only if you're training for marathons. This isn't if you're training for, training for anything else. This is only if you're training for marathons. And I would say just do 10% of whatever your easy run weekly mileage is for that week, and add that in, and maybe add that in 1 day or 2 days, depending on how much mileage you're really doing. If you're doing let's say you're doing 50 miles that week, and you want to add in 5 miles of marathon pace running, you can do it 1 or 2 different days. You don't have to add in the 5 miles, but I would say upwards of 5 miles. And I would say you don't really need to do anything over about 10K of training worth of that. So if you're doing anything over 60 miles in a week, you really don't need to do over 6 miles of marathon pace training. I think that's enough in a week. That's totally enough in a week to get you there to practice on that. So now let's go over the long run. So the long run is going to be run 1 per week, and I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're in the off season. I don't care if you're in season. I don't care if you're running track, cross country. You're training for 800 meters all the way up to ultra running. Everybody has a long run. And the long run is going to be 15 to 25% of your weekly mileage. But I really don't recommend going over 2 hours and 30 minutes. This is what Jack Daniels recommends, is never going over an hour and 50 minutes. I think that's okay. I just think like you could do a little bit more than that, but don't push yourself really over 3 hours. He says 2 hours and 30 minutes. I think about 3 hours would be, really enough. I just think like if you're running, if your long run is going to be, and we'll go over how much your long run should be, but let's just say your long run is going to be 17 miles, and you're running at like a 11-minute mile. I just think that's too much running for you. I think you should cut back your easy run till you get a little bit faster. But if you're someone running like, a 7-minute mile pace for 17 miles, I think that's totally fine. I think, but I say don't go over about 22 miles or so is where you should kind of like cut back on the, and kind of say, okay, should I really be going, like you should only go over 22 miles unless you're training for a like ultra run. You really don't need to go over like 22. I know some people do like, I think Mo Farah goes up to like 27 sometimes. I just think once you hit that point of like 20 plus, you really get into the point where you're depleting your glycogen storages. Even if you're on like a carnivore's diet, I still have my glycogen storages from a carnivore's diet. I can still deplete those glycogen storages. And if you're on carnivore, it's okay because you're kind of tapping into your fat storages, so it's not bad for you to go in and do these extra running. But when you're someone who is not fat adapted, then it's really unhealthy for you to do that consistently. So I would say, if you're someone who's fat adapted, go for it. But it's just you could just overtrain your body is, the biggest thing. You might overtrain your body going over 2 hours and 30 minutes of running. So you really don't need to be doing that. It's not really more beneficial after that point. Now, again, long runs, now you got to understand how much should your long run be. Your long run should be 15 to 25% of your weekly mileage. Right? So if you're doing 40 miles in a week, you're going to do 7.5 miles and upwards of 10 miles, right? I think it's 7.5 or it's like 6, maybe 6 something, and upwards of 10 miles, right? So it'd be like 6.25 up to 10 miles. And so what I always recommend is that when you're increasing your mileage, and I'll make a whole podcast on increasing mileage, I recommend doing 10 miles per week every month or every other month, instead of doing the 10% rule. Like I would say do 50 miles a week, do that for a couple months, and do 60 miles a week for a couple months instead of going up 10%. But when you do this, when you first start doing that mileage, let's say you were normally doing 20 miles a week, now you go up to 30, well maybe you should start at that 15, 17% of your weekly mileage being your long run for the first couple weeks, and then start increasing it throughout the weeks. Maybe do 2 weeks of 15%, 2 weeks of 20, and then 2 weeks of 25. So now your long run gets longer and longer and longer till we can get used to it. Because if you're doing, 30 miles a week and your long run is, upwards of 7.5 miles, and now I put you at 40 miles a week and I tell you, okay, your long run now is going to be 10 miles, that could be too much for you. And so maybe you want to start out at 8 or 8.5 miles and then build it up to that 10 miles after a couple weeks once your body starts getting used to doing that, right? Maybe now your body's getting used to it and your body's like, all right, I'm used to this now. Now let me increase my mileage up to where I can do now, I can do the mileage that I want to do. Right now I can do that 10 mile long run. And then when you do that 10 mile long run for a while, your body will get used to doing a 10 mile long run. So then you can go and do 50 miles a week, because now you have to run on average about 8.33, I think it's 8.33 or 8.66 miles a day. One of the two, I can't remember. But now your body's used to running, a 10 mile long run and stuff like that. So doing that 8 miles in a day is not super, super hard for the body, Right now your body's not dying. Your body's not like, okay, I feel like I'm dying now. No, it's used to that. If you kept your long run down at the 15% range and you're doing like a 7 mile long run, and I tell you to go to 50 miles a week, your body's not used to even running an 8-mile run. Now you gotta do 8-mile run every single day. That's too much for the body. So you wanna make sure you're playing with it. And like I said, when you don't feel good, if you feel sick one day, you're just feeling super sick. I mean, like, you can take the day off, obviously. I always say if you don't feel good, maybe take the day off if you really need to. If you really need to, take the day off. But if you need to push yourself and you just don't feel good, go very easy. If you have to go slower than 60%, it's okay. I think 55% is okay. I don't think it's going to detrimentally hurt you or anything. It's not going to do anything wrong. But try to go 60%, on the days you don't feel good. And on the days you feel good, go a little bit faster if you want to. But you don't have to. That's the thing. You do not have to ever go 75%. Don't think going 75% is going to make it better for you than going 60%. Because like I said, you will add more time on your runs if you go 60%. Because you're going, most of the time, you're not going for minutes. Like if I'm training at like a whole group of people, I will say, do a 30-minute run. I will not say go run 4 miles or 3 miles. I will say a 30-minute run. So everyone can finish exactly at the same time. No matter how slow or how fast they went, they can get whatever mileage they got in within that time frame. But by yourself, when you're training like a program from me, I'm going to say do 5 miles. I'm going to say do 3 miles. And so just know that going at 75%, you will be going faster, meaning you're not going to get as much time spent running at easy run pace, meaning you're not going to build as much heart muscle. So don't think going 75% is more beneficial. It's actually more beneficial for you to go 60%, but that 75% is there because if you're having a good day where you feel good and you feel relaxed and your legs feel fresh and you just feel like you can move really smoothly at like a little faster pace, then go for it and have fun, and maybe run an extra 10 minutes at that pace because you want to get that extra time frame in there, because now you're running a minute per mile faster than what you're doing at 60% compared to 75%, and now you want to add in an extra 5 minutes of running because you ran 5 miles. Fine, do that, run a little bit extra. That's okay, I think that's fine. But just know that if you're going at 75%, it's not better for you than 60%. 60% is actually more beneficial most of the time. Hope that helps. Hope you guys understand what easy runs are. Get out there and start doing the easy runs. Stop doing all those really hard runs. It's not going to benefit you. Go do the easy runs. And I'll get back to you guys with the next one, which is going to be on speed runs done at mile pace and 800 meter pace, which is going to be an awesome video. The third one's going to be tempo runs. These are to build your endurance. And then the fourth one's going to be on VO2 max, maximum oxygen, interval runs, hard runs, which are going to be able to help you guys build your maximum oxygen intake. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Give this a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next podcast. Peace out.